Hi, I'm Lorraine Underwood, a first-year PhD student here at Lancaster University. I've worked here at the university for 4 years as a member of staff at the School of Computing and Communications, but it wasn't until I got here that I became enthusiastic about computing. Many years ago, 2008, I finished my degree in computer science, but I didn't really love the subject. It wasn't something I was passionate about. I did the good degree for a job because I thought there would be good jobs in computing, but it wasn't something that I really felt like that I loved. I wasn't very geeky. I wasn't really into the subject. When I left Dublin to come to the UK, I trained as a secondary school teacher in ICT. If you've ever done ICT secondary school at the UK, you might remember it's not a very inspiring subject either. It's pretty much teaching teenagers how to use word processor, spreadsheets. There's no coding involved, or there was no coding involved at the time that I was teaching it. After a short stint as a teacher, I joined Lancaster University as a regional coordinator for computing at school. So my job was to teach teachers the new computing curriculum. One of the first things I did was went along to the Raspberry Pi Picademy, which was like a 2-day training course for computing educators on how they could use computing in the classroom. Not necessarily using the Raspberry Pi, but it did feature heavily during those 2 days. And while I didn't really enjoy everything at Picademy, it gave me that passion that I was missing from my subject. It gave me inspiration of what I could do with computing, because it was the first time that I was introduced to physical computing. So that wasn't robots. So coding something that could sense the world around it and react to that information. And I'll explain that through some of my projects, because that's kind of everything behind what I do. I was also really lucky that Lancaster University was heavily involved in the microbit, and it was around that time that the microbit was launched to schools. So they were looking for ideas of how they could use this physical computing device in the classroom. And this is where exactly I fit in education and physical computing, which is what my PhD is on. I started to dabble in the area, started to create small projects like this light up cloud I made for a costume party for my son. There is drying in my sitting room and the electronics inside. So it's just sampling with small electronics and the microbit. This is a canvas trying to show like a Ferris wheel going around with lights. BFG Dream Jar, does everyone remember that from the Roald Dahl story? So you shake the jar and the dreams start to jump around inside the jar. This is my son modeling it for World Book Day. What's that?
Dream jar.
Wow. But one of my first personal projects, kind of one of my first maker projects, were these stair lights. So they got, from an API, they got the external temperature of my house according to the weather forecast. So it connected to the internet and it would display that temperature in lights on the stairs. So if it was less than 5 degrees, it would just show blue. If it was less than 10 degrees, it would just show green. And when it was 26 degrees or above, it would show this full rainbow effect, which obviously never happened in North Yorkshire. But this is the first project that I really felt like I call myself a maker. And that's what I call myself today. When people ask me what I am, I'm not a PhD student. I don't work for the university. I am a maker. I like to make things with electronics, to teach people what computing can do, to show them what it can do and to inspire them. Let's have a look at some more of my projects. Here's a light up indicator jacket. So this is using a microbit and a strip of lights. You press a button on the front and you indicate that you're going left or you're going right. Really, really practical in the dark. Really, people love this project. It was really kind of showed them the practical use, the real life use of these kind of projects. Here is my biggest project that I made. This is a 8x8x8 red, green, blue LED cube. So there are 512 lights in this cube, all hidden underneath those ping pong balls. So I did drill 512 ping pong balls and assembled it in this cube shape. And this is the pattern that I kept on it most of the time for pictures because it looked amazing. It's a rainbow, which is kind of my thing. But I didn't want it just to be an art piece. You know, it does look cool and people are impressed by it. I wanted people to interact with it. I wanted people to play it like a game. So because each light is individually controllable, I coded Pacman. So you were a little light and you were chased around the cube by ghosts. I also coded snake, which was way more popular. So you were the snake. Every time you ate an apple, you grew in length. So the idea was to try and make it around the cube to get as long as possible, but you were doing this in 3D, so you were going through 3 axes, X, Y, and Z. So that was really interesting to code that, and also to code the coordinates of each light. It's quite like a nice little puzzle that was. And this cube I brought everywhere. I brought it to Newcastle, I got it to Cambridge, I brought it home to Dublin, just to show it off. Not to show it off as in, look what I did, look how amazing I am at electronics, but look how cool this is. You know, this is a game, this is not a piece of art, this is a game that you can play with code. You know, you can code this, you can make your own games, and you can light it up any color you want. 2 years ago, I was approached by a publishing agency in New York, McGraw-Hill, to create a book. They said, what do you want to write about? So obviously I chose physical computing, but I really wanted to get across that how computing and coding is not just for the programmers. It's not for the people who are just doing computer science. It's for everyone and anyone who wants to do anything in this world. And that's where I kind of got the title from. So Save the World with Code is kind of me just showing everyone out there that this is what will save the world. Not my book, but the world's problems will be solved by people using code. Not necessarily coders, but people using technology, people who know what technology is out there and how they can use it. So that was kind of like the basis behind the book, is that you don't need to start big to start saving the world. A lot of it is climate change. You know, if your window is open and your temperature is going down, maybe you should close your window rather than turn your radiator on. Just kind of simple, subtle things like that. There's a lot of fun things, like there's a whole section on zombies because we're trying to inspire children, but it's physical computing with the microbit, Circuit Playground Express and the Raspberry Pi, and it's leveled for different ages. When I make projects, I don't make them to show off complicated code. A lot of my code is actually based in blocks. So the microbit can be coded in this environment called MakeCode. And it's a drag and drop interface. You drag your blocks on and you click them together. This is really helpful when children are learning to code. They don't have to worry about spelling, they don't have to worry about syntax. They're just worrying about the ideas. So loops, variables, just getting the hang of them before they can go on to anything more complicated. And a lot of people are surprised that this is what I code in. When I'm coding a set of lights and I need to just flash red, green, blue, I'll grab a microbit and stick it into blocks because it's just quicker and it's easier to demonstrate. I'm not going to demonstrate something complicated like, oh, here's a dictionary in Python that's index based. You know, people don't want to hear those words when they're new to the subject. I'm like, here's some blocks that are written in plain English. Tell me what this does. And, you know, an 8-year-old can read blocks and tell you what it does. And that's kind of like opening the gate, you know, showing them this is accessible. This is for you. You can do this and you can make a difference. And this can be your passion. That's what I want to do, really. That's what I want to do. I want to show people how computing can be used, how it can help them, and how it can entertain them. You know, no, we don't all have to be serious programmers and make money from it, though that would be great. Just having a hobby of computing can give you so much joy in your life. 6 months ago, I joined the Element 14 video content producers, and now I make electronic videos for the Element 14 community, which are also shared on YouTube. We get thousands of views every month. Here are some of my projects that I've made for Element 14. My favorite one is this dance mat, because it's really simple, just using a Circuit Playground Express, but it was the video, if you go watch it, I failed so much in this video. I did so many things wrong, and I showed them all in the video because I feel like that's a really strong part of computing, is failing. No one writes a program that is perfect to begin with. We all have to debug And, you know, once we kind of all get over that, it'll be much easier. But it's very difficult for beginners to get over the fact that they're going to fail so many times when they write something in code. So I try and, when I'm teaching children, I try and give them strategies for dealing with failure and make them fail often and early. Another one of my projects was a VR headset. When you moved your head, the VR headset would move. So I thought it would be cool on video meetings, on Zoom calls, if we were all like little robot heads looking at each other in a meeting room. This is my current project that I'm working on. It's an RGB LED clock and stopwatch. So when I'm doing my star jumps, this clock lights up and counts down for me. And they're some of my favorite projects, and they are all just fun and mostly lights. I do work on more complicated projects from time to time. At the moment, I'm teaching on the minor in Creative and Applied Computing at Lancaster University, teaching first-year students how to code and how to use coding in their major subjects. I'm also using machine learning to track people using a NVIDIA Jetson, which I've never used before, and Python. And I'm using depth perception cameras. This is all new content to me that I'm learning on my current project with some artists. So it's taken me 4 years to kind of get to the point where I can say happily that I am a maker. This is what I do, not what I do necessarily all the time for a living, but this is what I do because I'm passionate about it. If you ask me what I do, I'm not a member of staff at Lancaster University. I'm not a PhD student, not a mum, not a wife. I am a maker. I make things and I have fun making them. I enjoy making them. I learn things as I make, and I fail so much while I'm making, which is part of life. We would not be human if we did not fail. I hope some of my projects have inspired you and that you found this interesting. I hope you have a really great day at the Lovelace Forum. It's my birthday today. Oh, I needed a popper. Well, I'm sure there will be cake, maybe not in your house, but there will be in my house, and I will see you soon. I can't wait to meet you all, see what you're doing, see what you're passionate about or what you could be passionate about.